y'all, this is Marla K. Hope y'all are well. Got something I want to share with you from them folks in Davos about the digital identification that is getting ready to come online, the part of the beast infrastructure that we need to understand. I want to give a shout out to Only Pamela's Way for sharing this story with me. She shared this link. I try to keep up with a lot of these updates, but I'm not always able to, see everything. So I really do appreciate when you all share information with me that's going to help our people stay out of the beast system. So let me get into this. Again, this came from them folks in Davos, and it came out on June the 7th, 2023. It says, for centuries, ID, a way for people to prove attributes about themselves, has played a pivotal role in society. Yet today, roughly 850 million people still lack legal ID. So we didn't have legal IDs when we were back on the continent. You know people by their last names. You knew people by their families. People didn't have to walk around with no piece of paper saying, I'm from this tribe. I'm from this country. We didn't have to do that. People could tell where you were from by how you spoke, by the way you looked, by just your word. I'm from so and so and so and place, because people were proud of that. Only, or money, even money, was a way for people. What you exchanged as currency would determine where you were from. These people came up with this identification system in order to track us and control us. So just understand identification, whether it's a birth certificate, social security number, a driver's license, a state ID, all those things are nothing more than forms of identification that have been used for centuries to get us to this point. Even, them tracking us during slavery, they had ways that they tracked us. We didn't always have ways to track ourselves, but they've always wanted to know who was who and what was what. And so this is nothing different, except for now it allows a small group of people to control the entire world. And they will have data that we have already given them, or we are expected to give them, in order to continue participating in this world system that exists in the new one that they're setting up. So just understand where things are going. Simultaneously, many of those with ID do not have privacy and control over how their data is shared. Innovative approaches to digital ID are now being developed that could help expand access while offering individuals control. Decentralized ID, one such approach, could offer a secure way of managing data without depending on intermediaries. So, see, they're trying to sell you, you're going to have all the access on your phone. But first, you have to give. Now, you got to use your common sense with this stupid stuff because it's stupid. So, I'm going to take a picture and give you my biometric data. I'm going to give you a fingerprint and give you my biometric data. I'm going to take a picture of myself and upload it into this database, and I may be required to do it ever so often. But all of this information is going to an intermediary because it has to be stored someplace in order for it to be validated. So, first of all, it's not decentralized, and then it's going to be shared with all these other entities, which makes it not decentralized. But you're going to sell it to me as decentralized because I'm able to carry it on my phone. I'm already able to carry it in my pocketbook. I'm already able to go to the uh, Department of Health and Environmental Control and get a birth certificate. I don't need to have, I can get the paper. I'm fully capable of taking care of a piece of paper that I need to do whatever transactions I need. I know how to go get my marriage license. I know how to go get my divorce records. I know how to do all of that stuff. I'm a big girl. But they're selling us that we need to have one way of doing everything, and that is going to give us more control. When you turn over this information, you do not have control over it. I have control. Once I go to DHEC and I do this private transaction in cash, I'm able to get my birth certificate. I'm able to come home. I'm able to put my birth certificate in my drawer or under my mattress or in a safe deposit box, and I know where I put it. I have possession over it. If I carry it and it's stolen, I know where to go get another one. Um, there's nothing going to stop theft per se unless we actually have control over our own stuff. And then we're responsible for the misplacement or theft if we have control over it. But once we turn over our information to these people, we have no control over it. So it's like you're going to be forced to go into this system, but you will not have control over any of the information once you relinquish it. So to me, there is nothing decentralized about any of this. It is just a fantasy, and it's tied to blockchain. So you're supposed to just think, oh, it's so private. It's a transaction and nobody's going to know nothing. Everybody going to know everything. Everybody already knows everything because they've been sharing information for years, and that's already been proven. So this is just like the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. Enough about my rant. While decentralized IDs presents opportunities, it also poses risk and faces challenges without fit for purpose policy, whatever that means. Regulation and technology, the potential for these systems to have a socially beneficial impact will be limited. That sentence don't even make no sense. Y'all see how these people always have fluff. Like this is a typical fluff line. It don't mean nothing. It don't even make sense. But somebody gonna be out here quoting this stuff after a while, and you're gonna be like, what? What does that even mean? This is how they sway you. They use all this big, you know, bunches of words together, and it means nothing. It's just BS. The result of an international collaboration, and notice they say international collaboration involving more than 100 experts spanning the public and private sectors. This report provides tools, frameworks, and recommendations for government officials, regulators, and executives seeking to engage with decentralized ID. So they don't have anything else on this site about this report. It's a PDF, and so I pulled it up, and so I wanted to share some of the stuff that's in here with you and go through it. It's 40 pages long, and I will include a link to this page, not the PDF, but the page where you can download the PDF, in the description. Probably not going to be shared wide and far because, of course, they don't want nobody to know about none of this stuff. But I'm going to put it out here because my father told me to do it. Okay. All right. So it says they got the same old stuff that they had on the homepage. So it says barriers to implementation. Efforts are already underway to scale decentralized ID. So when they say that, that means they're already in the process of making it bigger, expanding it everywhere. So when they talk about scaling up, that's what they're talking about doing. They're making this available everywhere. Yet there are a host of barriers to implementation, a lack of widely agreed upon technologies. That means they're going to standardize that. Standards and proposals limit the reach of these systems. The absence of enabling policy and regulation may curtail their efficacy. Decentralized ID also faces challenges of governance, communications, and utility. So The issue is we got too many rules, too many nations got too many things. So we got to find a backdoor way to get this done. It's just some summation of what they said here. The stakeholders who decide that decentralized ID is the right approach for their goals. This report offers technical policy governance implementation recommendations. It advises industry that further technological innovation standards, alignment, and talent development are necessary to achieve decentralized ID. So that means they got to get a different generation of people who think it's okay. That's why they've been grooming our children. So the children are gonna think it's cool. Cause oh yeah, I can just boop hit something with my phone. I don't have to think. I don't have to write. I don't have to whatever. So they're gonna get the talents and develop them so that they can achieve decentralized ID. And it may not even be teenagers. It may be just young people because there's a whole generation that don't know how to write, don't even know how to sign their name out of high school and in college right now. So it won't be hard for them to recruit the enemy. Sadly, public sector participants can contribute by exploring the development of enabling regulation, setting requirements for interoperability and portability. That means they're going to put in laws and rules so that you have to use these things. So, and these things, whatever these tools or frameworks are, they have to be shared amongst bunches of shareholders. So when they talk about the interoperability, you remember I've been telling you about that. Anytime you see interoperability, you need to have your eyes and ears up because they're saying something without saying something. That means share with everybody. I want to collaborate with everybody. Everybody need to be able to understand it. Should be able to go from agency to agency, state to state, nation to nation, globally without any problems. And fostering collaboration among key stakeholders. So they notice they never tell you who these stakeholders are. Never, 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 never. So here's the ID overview. For centuries, ID, they keep on saying the same thing. I was getting on my nerves. Okay. Uh, I, in 2015, with the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, those are the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the international community recognized legal identity as a development priority. SDG 16.9 aims to, by 2030, provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. Indeed, as the World Bank posits, ID can be a direct or indirect enabler of many sustainable development goals, including access to finance, gender equality and empowerment, and migration and labor market opportunities. So they're already telling you what the business is. This is the end game right here. But see how they tie it to birth registration and World Bank money. So birth equals money for them. Every person that's born is a slave. And that slave can help make these rich folks money who control these banks. While there has been significant progress, SDG 16.9 remains aspirational, with the World Bank estimating that 850 million people lack an official ID. Providing proof of legal identity to those without it will depend on a concerted multi stakeholder effort led by governments, as well as the development of robust systems to ensure that credentials provide real world value to holders as stakeholders determine. And so when they talk about real world value to holders, that means us. They're going to give you this, but you don't want to have it for no reason. Like we now have to have a driver's license to drive. We have to have identification. Well, you used to have Well, you still have to have identification if you're going to the bank to withdraw money or deposit money. But now you can use your bank card to do that and do an ATM transaction, and you don't even have to deal with anybody. Um, Social Security and birth certificates, you needed those to get certain services or to have certain privileges, like to get a passport or a visa. Well, you don't necessarily have to have that. If you have these digital IDs, you can just, hey, just use your little digital ID and it just give all the information to whoever, whenever, and everything is going to be just fine. All you got to do is be born and have a birth certificate. That's the ticket. And they're tying it to money. So if you don't have this digital identification, you can't participate in banking. If you can't participate in banking, then you cannot buy or sell. And with this birth registration, there comes a number that's going to be assigned to you by the beast from the beast infrastructure. Y'all follow me? Okay. All right. So it says, as stakeholders determine how best to achieve SDG 16.9, some are considering developing decentralized ID systems in addition to efforts to provide proof of legal identity. Decentralized ID is a form of digital ID that enables individuals to control the sharing of their data while allowing multiple entities to issue credentials to them. So the digital ID, it says, provides a means of making claims about personal data through digital channels. Many things can have a digital ID, from hardware such as the Internet of Things, devices to organizations, including corporate entities. This report focuses on ID for individuals. So they're focusing on us because we are the obstacle. The businesses, they're going to go along with it. They're already going along with it because they're a part of the stakeholder groups that are making these decisions about us. Notice there are not any regular peoples like, hey, y'all like this? Y'all think y'all need this? Because I'm sure anybody with a good healthy brain would be like, no, why do we want this? I don't want you in my business. So everything is about us because corporations and even governments are already on board, as you can see. The increasing of digital technology and the development of AI make the creation of digital ID important. According to the estimates by the Global Financial Crime Watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force, on who these people, because I ain't never heard of them. The number of digital transactions is growing at roughly 12.7% annually. Whether purchasing an item or accessing an in person service, transactions are increasingly mediated by digital technologies, necessitating the development of effective forms of digital ID. Developments in artificial intelligence have also increased the need for digital ID. AI poses a threat to privacy because it can analyze seemingly unrelated data to reveal attributes about an individual. So, it makes you question, if y'all already know this, why y'all unleashing this stuff out on us? AI has the potential to break mechanisms for authentication. These capacities, so they're already telling you that you can do all this stuff and AI can cheat the system. So they're telling you it's not safe because AI is going to be running the system. So again, like, none of this stuff makes any sense. If you have a healthy brain and you got some common sense, which apparently most people do not have, and if you care to read this stuff line by line and try to digest it and understand it, like, it makes no sense. It's stupid. Like, if I know if I strike a match in the house on top of paper, a spark could start a fire and burn my whole house down. So why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. So they're telling us that AI can hack their systems and and do things, but we're going to still do it anyway. These capacities necessitate the development of models of digital ID capable of preserving privacy while providing reliable authentication. AI systems are also now generating content, making it imperative to develop models of ID that can determine what was produced by an AI system. Despite a sustained focus on ID, the increasingly widespread use of digital technologies and the rapid development of AI, the internet lacks an ID layer. So you're going to have to use the internet. You have to use this digital ID to access the internet, which is why, I've been talking to you about when that day comes, you're going to have to make a decision about whether or not you're going to be wanting to use the internet. I've already come to Jesus. I had my come to Jesus with myself that I'm not going to do. I don't care what um what happens. I'm gonna be a hunter and a gatherer. I'm there. I'm not doing all this. I don't need. There's nothing on the internet that I need to know. I got books. I got common sense. I've been here quite a while. Whatever I don't know by now, if it ain't in the Bible, I ain't gonna be too much worried about it. So I'm just not. I'm going back to simple days like my ancestors. All this other stuff that's on the internet, it was nice for a season, but now you're starting to see where they're letting you know that you're going to have this digital ID to access pretty much everything they've already either got you addicted to or gotten you looped into because they required it. Like you have to have direct deposit for most of your financial transactions. You can't get a paper check. If you try to get a paper check, then it's going to be a problem. Stuff like that. So, a lot of times we really don't have much say in the matter. So, this says to fill this gap, stakeholders offer centralized, federated, and decentralized forms of ID to help facilitate transactions. Centralized providers establish and manage data on behalf of individuals. Federated solutions allow a single organization or closed network to verify facts on behalf of an individual. Decentralized systems, by contrast, allow an individual to control their data, which is verified by the stakeholder. Decentralized ID has elsewhere been referred to as a self sovereign ID, user managed ID, secure ID, and more. The aim of this resource is not to add confusion to these terms, but to encourage standardization around the neutral term. So, I mean, as you can see, they're just going on and on and on and on and on and on about crazy stuff. So, anywho, I want to get to the end part about the government piece. Let me see if I can find it. Governance and implementation. There are several reasons, in addition to technology and policy, why it remains difficult to realize decentralized ID. This section offers an overview of the governance and implementation barriers, which include communications, utility, economic viability, and exclusion related obstacles. It also provides examples spanning centralized and decentralized ID, where helpful to further illustrate the analysis. Broadly, decentralized ID systems face a communications challenge. Explaining the benefits of any novel technology can be difficult. And this is especially true for solutions such as a decentralized ID that combines several technologies. Yet, in the case of ID, there is an especially high communication barrier, made worse by the myriad conspiracy theories linking ID to untrue and malicious speculations. Y'all hear that? They say it's untrue and malicious speculations that they ain't making the mark of the beast. Mm, mm, mm. Have mercy. Moreover, although many institutions and individuals continue to push for enhanced privacy, Many may not recognize the relationship between digital ID and personal data and how developing decentralized ID systems could help improve individual privacy. Additionally, while individuals may, in theory, want greater privacy, convenient technologies that offer less privacy may be more appealing to them in practice. A lack of recognition of the importance of digital ID can create a lack of user demand, stymieing efforts to scale decentralized ID. So I just wanted to share this particular section with you because they have to convince you. Here they're saying we got to sell it to them. We got to sell it, make it sound good. So that's why you're starting to see all these advertisements about, use this QR code. Everything you get now, if you order something from someplace, it's got a thing where you can scan. You got to have a QR code to get more information. Some stuff you can't even get directions. I can't remember what I purchased. Maybe it was last year. I purchased something and it didn't come with not a lick of instructions. And I was like, how do I even put this together? Oh, it was my compost bin. I ordered a compost bin from Amazon, and it was Miracle Grow. Ordered it, got it, didn't know how to put it together. So it was like, scan this QR code. It was just a little card in there. Scan this QR code so you can get the instructions. And then in really small fine print, it was like, or you can go to this website to put it together. I said, look at them trying to get folks to download stuff onto their phone so they can get information. I never download QR codes. If it's someplace that I got to sit down and eat and I got to have a QR code for a menu, I'm going to get up and leave. I ain't doing that. Like, you talk about strong convictions about stuff like that, I have them. And people be like, you crazy, but they don't understand where this stuff is going to because they want you to become comfortable doing this. Like, just to get instructions to put something together that I purchased because you didn't want to print out instructions for me. You could have just said, go to www dot whatever and host the stuff on your website. But you're going to have a QR code for me to take a picture of on my phone. And then I have to, go to this website. I'm gonna be redirected to this place anyway. But instead of you just giving me the place, you're gonna make it more difficult by giving me this thing and making me feel like I'm doing something uh, quick or savvy because I use this method that you gave me. Like, I don't even understand how people do all this stuff. Like, I ain't scanning nothing to do nothing. And if I can help it, I'm scanning. If it got something to do with me getting paid, I might do that. But other than that, like this extra stuff, scan this to learn more about, I'm not doing that. Put this on app on your phone so you can do it. I'm not doing that either. I am not even upgrading my phone no more. I still got an old telephone, 4G. I ain't getting no 5G. I wish I could go down to 3G. I don't want none of it because I understand where it is going. And so, I'm one of a few people who see this, but all these people running around getting the latest Apple this and you got to scan this code and do all this stuff. You can use these apps. What do you think that's for? It's like getting you accustomed to, addicted to, uh, um, having these products so they can lure you into this beast infrastructure because you can go into it willingly. Oh yeah, I want to use my phone. I'm gonna do what they told me to do. In order for me to have the internet and use telephone, I'm gonna give them my information because like they did in Nigeria, I need to have a you know my digital ID is associated with my SIM card chip or my phone number or my phone service. I'm not doing that. I ain't gonna have no cell phone. I ain't gonna have no phone. You want me, you have to come to my house. You can send me a letter in the mail. And you might not even be able to use postal services, anything that got to do with the government. So you know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be really complicated to communicate unless you got some pigeons or something. Or some other manner to communicate, some radios or something. So it's gonna be a real challenge trying to navigate now without these technologies, because they've caused us to get rid of the old ways, and so now all we have are these new ways, and it's just going to be really difficult. But they're going to have to convince a lot of people that they need to have a digital ID, and you can't really convince nobody who is thinking that this stuff is better or it makes sense. Like, it just makes no sense whatsoever unless you just are sold out to technology and you just think everything they come out with is just wonderful. Like, that's the only thing I can see. But outside of that, there's no benefit to any of this at all. So, I want to share this with everybody. I'm going to include this in the description. Please read through this 40-page PDF in its entirety. It's just so much stuff in here. And a lot of it is vague. It's vague intentionally because this is made public. They're not going to put all the dirty little details that they're going to institute and to make this stuff happen in here, but it gives you an idea of where things are going, how fast they are going to get to where they're trying to get to, and then you can kind of gauge, you know, how you need to prepare mentally and physically for what's coming. Make sure you look at who the contributors are, who are in the working groups. Look at who they acknowledge and where these people or who they are associated with. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. To me, if I were you, I would start at the back first and work your way up. I tell you all the time, look, follow the money. Look who's associated with what, and you will see there are a lot of businesses, a lot of people, a lot of nations, just a whole lot of stuff that you need to be really paying attention to, because those things also speak without speaking. I'll just leave it there. Lastly, I want to encourage you to look at the end notes, because you'll see a common theme. All this information is coming from a few sources, Gentile sources. And that's all I'm going to say. Gentile sources, Gentile nations, and a lot of contractors that are very controversial, like McKinsey. Another thing that I found interesting too was they used LexisNexis Risk Solutions, the true cost of financial crime compliance study. And then they also talked about money laundering. So, where they start talking about the financial action task force, that is going to be the premise that they use for why we need digital ID, and they're going to try to tie it to banking because of financial fraud. The biggest fraud getting ready to happen when they shut these banks down, they steal people money. They're gonna be the biggest fraud ever. So that's why I'm like, don't have no money in the bank. If you don't have nothing, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you do, don't put your money in the bank. You better keep enough in there just to pay your little bills. If you got anything of value, put it into things that you can eat, drink, use to cover your head, use to flee if you need to flee, for resources, whatever those resources are that you're going to need based on where you live and how you live and the number of people that you're going to have to care for. But it's about to get real. and people are not aware. I can't stress it enough. Y'all continue to pray, continue to prep, continue to seek the Most High. Cry out is, woo, you can't, please cry out. Are y'all sure y'all crying out? Because I'm crying. I feel like I'm crying by myself. I'm just kidding. Cry out to the Most High because it is crunch time. Like, there's no way we're going to get out of this without a supernatural intervention. And I'm believing in our supernatural intervention, but I don't know how long we're going to have to go through some things before our supernatural exodus happens. So we need to be aware of what's happening at all times. And again, thank you to Only Pamela's Way for sharing these stories with us, because it's essential for us to know how far into this beast infrastructure we may have to go into it. And I will have to share my thoughts about it. I wouldn't share it on YouTube. But we don't know how far along we're going to have to go into this system in order to survive for a season, or if we're going to be forced to. And not just because of persecution, because the persecution is the end part. But initially, there are going to be some uncomfortable times that people are going to have to deal with. And that's going to be the catalyst to get a lot of people to go into it, especially people on fixed incomes, people who are accustomed to getting public benefits, things like that. So I want to have the conversation, but I definitely wouldn't have the conversation. Or if I have the conversation, it would be something that I probably would do live. Maybe that's probably going to be my first live. And maybe I'll be able to get Watchman Nehemiah to come and do that one with me. But we really have to start thinking about how far am I going to be able to exist without going into this system. And if I do, because the infrastructure itself is not, it is the infrastructure, but it is the mark. There are other components to it. Like, it's complicated. So we can't just say, oh, I ain't going to do it because it's the mark, because this isn't exactly the mark. The mark, is tied to worship. So, for some people, just getting it, this is a form of worship. I'm believing, and I'm putting my trust in this system and not the Most High. For others, they may, be waiting on the eco Sabbath or the stuff about the climate agenda to come into play before they exit it. But, for me, it's once you enter into it, are you really able to exit it? Because it's going to come with monitoring. And so if how do you fall off the map if you just go into it? So I don't know. We don't know what it's going to entail. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what we'll have to do. We just going to have to wait and see. But part of this is knowing, and knowing is half the battle. So keep in touch with what's going on. Stay in reality. Stay grounded in reality. Do not go off and allow other people to intimidate you because they don't want to know anything and aren't concerned. I expect something to happen this year that's huge, that's going to throw us into the need for these things. And because you see them talking about money in this ID, know that something is going to happen with money, so that you're going to have to use this ID, or you're going to have to do this in order to access your money. That's what I got in my spirit. So I don't know. I can't say for sure. I don't have no inside information, but my spirit is telling me that the connection between the ID and the money, the connection between the IMF and the World Bank and this digital ID, that's the buy and sell piece. If you don't have that, you can't do nothing. You can't operate your phone. You can't pay no bills. You can't do whatever. So start thinking outside of the box, people. Or Start thinking about how deep you willing to get into this system before you have to exit it. Or are you willing to go into it? Are you going to test it out? There's so many variables, so many things that we don't know, but the more of these little things that you can read and start kind of getting an idea and reading between the lines, as far as their plans are concerned, that will help you make better decisions. But we can't, we have to be spiritual and natural in how we look at these things. Now, spiritually, we already know the word already told us what's coming. We can see the signs of the times, and so we need to be cognizant of that at all times. But for some people, it may not be reasonable or feasible right now for them to cut loose out of the system. And I don't want to place judgment on anybody because I don't know what anybody's going to have to do. Everybody's situation is different. I know people get pensions from the government because they work, they retire, and so they may have to go into the system in order to get their money, especially if they have set their lives up to rely on that. Um, will that eventually um, mean you have to worship the beast? I don't know. But I know the fact that we're talking about buying and selling, you're not going to be able to buy and sell if you don't participate in this system, means that money is going to be associated with that. And we can't love money more than we love the Most High. We just cannot. And at some point, we're going to have to sacrifice. I don't know what that sacrifice is for you. And I can't judge anybody for their willingness or unwillingness to sacrifice. The only thing I can do is share with you that that time is near where you're going to have to make that choice. Make sure you make the right choice, because once you make it and you make the wrong choice and time is up, you won't be able to come back from that. So make sure that you understand what's happening. Read these documents. I'm going to again include this in the description, and get your own understanding. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask the questions in the comment section, and I'm happy to try to answer them or direct you in an area where you can do more research. But I recommend strongly, while the internet is working, do your own research. Download these documents, print them off. Don't be content with just downloading stuff, because this stuff gonna evaporate like air when they get ready for it to evaporate. If you got a computer or any device, don't think for one moment they can't make stuff leave off of your device, because they can. Just make sure that you understand what's happening, you understand the risk, you understand the advantages, and you understand the times that we're in. Time is running out. We don't have that much time. All right. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. Hit that bell notification so that you can get notifications anytime I upload new content. Please try to wake somebody up. If you are wise and awakened, please try to wake up someone that is asleep. Continue to pray, cry out, and seek the Most High. Repent daily for sins of commission and sins of omission. Be specific as possible, because we must begin to cry out so that we can be found worthy to escape this beast system that is coming online, because it is coming fast. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of chaos, a lot of distractions, a lot of destruction happening. And so, we are at the door. It's almost time to go. Have them go bags ready, because you don't know when you're going to have to flee. All right. Love y'all. Smarter K, and I'm out.